Hello guys, welcome to a new session of how to set up a DMZ. Myself, Professor Shiburaj, I'll be guiding you throughout this tutorial on how to set up a DMZ. Now the first question that comes up on your mind will be, what is a DMZ? A DMZ, or a demilitarized zone, is a physical or a logical network that contains and exposes an organization's external facing services to a larger and untrusted network, usually the internet. Now what this basically means is, if you have a private network and if you want to expose one or more of your computers to the internet for some reason, then DMZ is a way to go. Now, for example, maybe you have a web server or an email server on your private network and you want it to be accessed from the internet for your customers or for your employers. So you will simply set up a DMZ, and this will allow you to your users to access it from the internet. Now there are basically two main architectures that will allow you to set up a DMZ on your network. The first one is a single firewall one, in which there is a single firewall which is connected to three networks at the same time. Of course, it needs to have three interfaces for that. The first one is the router, or sorry, the WAN. That is this one. It is the public network from where you have the access to the internet, and that is connected directly to your one of the interfaces on your router. The second network is the DMZ. A couple of computers running different services are connected again to the firewall, and the third is your internal private network, which needs to be secure from the outside world. Now what this firewall does over here is, it allows both these networks, that is intranet and the DMZ, to access the internet, but it will not allow users from the outside, that is from the WAN, to enter into the private network, that is the intranet, but it will allow it to go through the firewall and into the DMZ. So this is what this particular architecture does. Similarly, we have another architecture which is a dual firewall architecture, which is much more secure than the first architecture. The reason being that here the firewall is the first firewall, that is, we call it the front end, is connected to the WAN over here, and in turn the other interface is connected to the DMZ as well as the other firewall, and the backend firewall, that is this one, is connected to the private network intranet. So basically what these firewalls do is, the front end firewall over here, this will allow only network data flow from here, that is the WAN, to the DMZ, and this firewall, that is the backend firewall, will only allow network packets to flow from the DMZ to the intranet. So basically, if anybody from the outside, that is WAN, wants to attack the private network, they have to pass through two firewalls to break into the network. So this is much more secure than the single firewall architecture. But in most of the scenarios in our home network, what we see is a single host DMZ. So it's completely different when compared to a multi-host DMZ. Here there is only a single host, as shown over here. So as shown over here, I have a internet. This is the cloud that from where I have the internet. This is my router, a switch, and a couple of computers connected to the switch. Now here what I need to do is, this router needs to be configured in such a way that it will allow this computer, a single host, to be available as a DMZ. I'll be converting this machine, that is, I will be exposing PC1 to the internet. Now to do this you will need few things. So this is what we are going to do in this particular tutorial, that is how to set up a DMZ host. Now to do this you will be needing first of all a router image, that is a router firmware, uh, uh, some computers, VirtualBox machines that is, and internet connection. Now to do this, first of all I will let you know what all things are required. So first you need to download these things. The firmware that we are going to use is DD-WRT disk image. There are other popular firmwares there on the internet. You can use any, but I prefer using DD-WRT. Then we also need one more software. It's the Physys write disk, PHYS write disk. Now both of these softwares you can directly Google it and get the image and the software, or you can use the links provided to download it. Now once downloaded, what you need to do, I have already downloaded the softwares over here. We'll just show it to you. So I have created a folder on one of my drives called shares, and I have placed all these files over here. This is the image, this is the physics disk write software, and to run this GUI version of this you need to have .NET Framework 3.5. So I have downloaded all these three things and kept in a folder called shares. Now you may be thinking, why do I need this particular software? So basically what we have downloaded is a .image file, which is a raw image file, and which I cannot import it directly onto VirtualBox hard disk. So what I need is someone to write it for me. So this is the software that does it. Now for this to work you need a working Windows machine. So what we're going to do is we are going to start VirtualBox. First of all we will be creating this particular router, the machine for this particular router. So click on new, name the device DD-WRT, select Linux as the type, and for version you can go to other 32-bit Linux. Click next. 256 MB RAM is fine. Create a virtual hard drive now, VDI format, perfect, dynamically allocated, okay. And now here it's saying 8 GB. I don't actually need 8 GB for my DD-WRT. I'll be just putting 1 GB hard disk space. Click OK, and here we have my device. Okay, now few other things. What I need over here is this PC1 that I'm going to expose. I'll be making it as a web server, and I have already done that over here. I have already installed Ubuntu Server Edition and installed Apache onto it, and so that machine is ready. Then I have set up two other computers, PC2, PC3, that is one is Windows XP test box and Windows 7. It's simple Windows machines that I've set it up. So now what we have to do is, first we have to load image into the DD-WRT virtual machine. Now so right now it is completely empty. So if I want to load this, we need a working Windows system. So you can use Windows 7 or Windows XP, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just click on settings, then go to storage. Now this you will see there is a hard drive, Windows XP test bed VDI, that is your actual XP hard disk. We will be adding one more hard disk. Choose from existing disk, and we'll be selecting the hard disk of DD-WRT. So if I go back, I go to DMZ, I go to DD-WRT. This is the hard disk that we've just created for DD-WRT. And now if you look at this, I have two separate hard disks, one with the OS, that is Windows XP, and one is a blank 1 GB virtual disk. Okay, so next thing, go to, now the thing is I have to add that share folder that I have created. So I have already added it, but still I will show you how to do that. Just remove this one and click on the plus sign over here. Go to the folder, that is, mine is F, I suppose, yes, and shares. Click OK and auto mount. That's it. So click OK. Now I have my share ready. So when I start my Windows XP, all the softwares will be already mounted. Click on start. Let us start the Windows machine. So if you click on my computer, you will see that there is a network drive. This is the share folder that we have created. You can copy this and paste it over here. I have already done that. The second thing you need to do after pasting it will be, this is your image file, will be to install the .NET framework. Since I've already done it, I'm not going to do that. After installing the .NET framework, you have to extract this software, and I have done that too. Click on it and you will get this. If you click it without installing the .NET framework, this will not run. So double click, and here if you see, I have two drives. Physical drive 0, that is your 9810 GB around, that is your XP drive, and a physical drive 1, which is your second hard drive, that is DD-WRT drive. So just right click on it, image, I don't know what it is, but it is on some other language, but click on this particular link, go to desktop, click on all files, click on DD-WRT public VGA image, the image that you have copied, and click OK. Yes, and that's it. We have successfully written the image to the hard disk. Now before shutting it down, you just need to check whether the Windows box is actually working on DHCP or not. Okay, that is working on DHCP. Close, and we will just turn it off. So now my DD-WRT has a OS inside it. So before starting this, I need to do one thing: remove the hard disk from the Windows XP, because you cannot have same hard disk at two places. So just remove this one. Okay, so now my Windows is set. Now next thing, I have to start the DD-WRT. Now before starting, you need to take care of few things. Settings. First of all, you have to see to it that you do not have anything that is not needed. For example, share folders, nothing there. USB, I don't need any USB drives. Serial ports, not required. Network, yes, of course I need a network. Since it's a router, I need two adapters to it. Now if you look at the presentation, this is the router. So this is my router. I have two interfaces, that is, this one will be ETH0 and this will be ETH1. So I have two interfaces, and this one, ETH0, will be connected to the internet, and ETH1 will be to the private network. Actually internally it is it's a bridge BR0 that is actually getting connected. We will see this in a while. So to do that, what we actually need to do is set up two interfaces. So I will enable the first interface, and since I want it to be connected to the internet, what I will do is I will go to bridged adapter. So that will make it same in my network where I have the internet. So it will be having internet through ETH0, that is adapter 1. Then I will be enabling the second adapter, and this time I will be selecting internal network. Now over here I can write, let's say anything, DMZ 5. Okay, I've selected 5 because other networks I'm using for some other purpose. So anything will do, in fact. So I have adapter 1 bridged, adapter 2 internal network DMZ 5. click OK. Now here it shows some invalid, not currently enabled on USB. That's fine. Click OK, and now I will be powering up a machine. Again, I guess I have missed out something. That's fine. It's asking for the CD drive. Okay, so it's loading. Within a few moments we'll be able to get into the network. Now there is a slight problem with this particular setup. The reason being that since I'm connecting, let me just get a highlighter. Since I'm connecting to the internet and my internet is through my router, that is internal router, Wi-Fi router, which gives me the IP address in this particular range, 192.168.1.x, so something in this range, so it can be anything. And by default this OS, that is DD-WRT, will take any IP address from here, but here on this side by default it is going to take 192.168.1.x. so that means on the right and the left, that is both the adapters use the same network, and that will be one of the reasons why we will not be able to connect to the router's web interface. So to solve that problem, what we are going to do is we are going to change the adapters second, that is router second interfaces IP address. Okay, so to do that, let us see whether it has booted. Oh yes, so now the DD-WRT has completely booted. Now you can log in into the system. It's root and the password is admin by default, and we are in. Now what we have to do is just type ifconfig and you will see all these interfaces, ETH0, ETH1, local loop, all those things. What we are interested in is BR0. Now if you see, look at this, it is set up as 192.168.1.1. that will not work for current scenario, since my network also, my public network is also working on that IP address range. So what I'm going to do is ifconfig BR0 and just change this IP address to 192.168.2.1. let's just change it. So now what happens is I'm on a different subnet, so this will not coincide. So if I click on this, now my network is changed. It is 192.168.1.2.1. okay, so now let us move on to configure this router. So to do that, what we need to do is go into the Windows XP or Windows 7, whatever, just power on one of the machines. Okay, now I forgot one thing. Before powering it on, let's just power it off. Go to settings and network. Now here only one adapter is required. It has to be in the internal network and it has to be on the same network as of the DD-WRT, and if you recall, I have selected DMZ5 as the internal network. Click OK and start. Start Windows normally. I guess I have just shut down rapidly. And here we are on the Windows machine. Now since we need to check whether we are on the correct network. Now again, this is not on the correct network because we are not yet configured it properly. So what we have to do is we have to go manually to the DHCP and manually type in the network that we have selected, that is 192.168.2. let's say 2 and 192.168.2.1. 192.1 is our this thing, DD-WRT, and that's it. We just need these things. Click OK, and you can just confirm whether the IP address, yes, the IP address has changed. Now you can open Chrome or any other browser and type in the address 192.168.2.1, that is DDRT, and here we have the DDRT interface. Now first things that we are going to do is change the password. Okay, so change the password, and here we go. This is the current scenario, but before doing anything, if you look at this over here, WAN is disabled, so actually our net is not working, I suppose. No, nothing is working. So now we will set up the initial setup. Okay, the WAN connection type static, and we need to put in some IP address. In fact, we can even select dynamic auto configuration using DHCP. It will not matter, but let us stick to static. I have already reserved one IP address from my network, that is my public network. That IP address is 192.168.1.11. Sorry, 192.168.1.11. subnet mask 255.255.255.0, gateway 192.168.1.1. Now you may be worrying how I got this IP address. Simple. You can go to your host computer, open the network connection, adapter settings. If I go to my properties, sorry, if I go to my details section, you will see that my IP address is something in the range 192.168.1.x. over here my computer has 133 IP address, and default gateway is this. So this is what I'm setting up over there on my machine. So let me go back to my Windows. Okay, here DNS, again I can set up the same 192.168.1.1, and you can also set up a public DNS, Google's DNS is 8.8.8. that's it. Our static WAN configuration is done. Just scroll down. Now here, now this currently says that the local IP address is 192.168.1.1. We have already changed it to 2.1, right? So we just need to change it over here, and that's it. Click on save, apply settings. Now as soon as you do that, once this is done, what you can do is go back to your, this is not a step, is actually not needed, but just to see whether it's working, click OK, and let it get the IP address from the router now instead of we configuring it manually. Yes, we have got an IP address, and if you look at this settings, what it says is DHCP server will start the IP address range from 100 onwards. So let us see what IP address we have got. Yes, it is 110. Okay, that's fine. So everything is set up properly, and now if I see Google, yes, our net is also working. So right now we have set up a basic internet. Now we have the system ready with that Windows connected to the router, that is internet. Now if you look, go back to the internet or presentation, you will see that our router is set up. Router setup done. Our Windows XP PC is done, and they are able to communicate. I'm not going to do this Windows 7 because it is same as this particular computer. What I'm interested in is this computer, that is PC1 Ubuntu web server, which is actually going to be our DMZ. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's open up VirtualBox again and let's go to Ubuntu web server. Now again, before starting, you need to set the network back to our internal network and DMZ5. Okay, that's it. Now we can turn this on. That's it. We are our web server is running. Let's log into the system. Student and let's type, just check our IP address, ifconfig, and our IP address is 192.168.2.122. That's great. We have an IP address 122 for the web server, right? To check whether it is working or not, let's go to our Windows system and let's open up a browser and let's type 192.168.122. enter. Here it is, our web server from my internal machine. So what I've done right now is my web server is ready, my Windows XP machine is ready, router is ready, and I've just opened the web server from this machine, that is PC. So this is allowed, that is perfectly fine. Now let us try to open this particular web browser from outside, that is from the cloud. Now to do that, we will simply open the browser from our host system. Okay, so let's just type 192. Of course this is not going to work because we have not yet set up the DMZ, so it's not working. Also, if you recall, the IP address given to the WAN, that is this router is 192, that is this interface 192.168. Just a minute. That is IP address given to this particular interface is 192.168.1.11. so let us see whether I can at least open that IP address 1.11. 192.168 1.11. No, nothing yet because we have not yet set up our DMZ. So basically nothing is allowed from here to here right now. So now the thing that we have to do is set up DMZ over here. So once DMZ is set up, you will be able to open this page from outside the network. So let us do that. Clear. Open your Windows XP. Now in this, what you have to do is go to NAT and DMZ. Very simple, just enable the DMZ and give it the IP address of the computer. Now if you recall, our DMZ address is 122. Am I right? Yes, 122. So if I just click save and apply settings, and still this must be working perfect. And if I now try to refresh this, yes, we have successfully completed setup of a DMZ on our local network. So this is how we can set up a DMZ. It's very easy. The only part that you need to concentrate is on the GUI part of DWRT. So once the setup is done, proper networking is done, just go to NAT, go to DMZ, enable DMZ, and give the IP address of the DMZ. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about DMZ and how to set it up. In corporate environments it will be slightly different because we'll be using one of the architectures mentioned before, either single firewall or dual firewall. So to do that you can use another firmware, or in fact even DWRT, to set up the single or dual firewall. Another one I suggest is to use pfSense. That is a very nice firmware for your routers to set up multi-host DMZs. Thank you very much for watching. Good day.